Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of This Korean Life, coming to you from Ulsan City. Today's podcast is brought to you by We Hope, the only foreign-run NGO based in the southern part of the peninsula. It is dedicated to working with disadvantaged youth, fostering growth and awareness in the communities, and improving the lives of those in need. We Hope runs a variety of programs and fundraising events in Ulsan, Busan, and Daegu. If you'd like to volunteer or make a donation, please visit the website at www.wehopekorea.org or check them out on Facebook. That website again is www.wehopekorea.org. This podcast is also brought to you by Sticky Fingers, open nightly from 7 p.m. Shill and his staff are ready to serve you hot food and cold drinks. Sticky's is a well-known place to enjoy live music, hang out with friends, and play games. Wednesday's wing night, and Friday offers 1+1 well cocktails until 11 p.m. It is located in the heart of the action downtown Samsung-dong, next to Thursday Party, behind Lotte Department Store. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is Mauricio. He's a former teacher in Ulsan, coming to you from Los Angeles, but he currently lives in Colombia, where he's married with his wife and daughter. Very interesting to see. He came back, I think he's back for a week because he really misses Ulsan, the expat community here, and Korean culture in general. The podcast touches on issues such as globalization, multicultural kids, traveling, education, family, all those fun things. So we had a great time sitting down with them, and we're happy to meet up again with them. So I hope you guys enjoy.
You are now tuned into This Korean Life with your hosts, Brian and Nate.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of This Korean Life. Today we have the one and only Mauricio
Gutierrez.
Been practicing that, but anyways, welcome back. Listen, our usual format is introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, but I think today we should start with what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You're back for a 5-day stint in Korea. Tell us.
Free pass from the wife.
A free pass, yeah. What's going on?
Well, I needed to get back to. I'm originally from LA. I live in Medellin, Colombia. So I needed to check in with my friends in Los Angeles and my old college friends. So we had like a little reunion and went to a Dodger game and everything. And this year is my year of sabbatical. So I have a year off. So I decided to take a look at some flights, and I found a cheap flight to Korea for about $550. I think it was a great deal.
Nice.
Absolutely.
How much was the cab to the Norebang? Because your voice there. Sounds like you had a good night out the other night.
But I miss kimchi. I wanted to see how much Ulsan has grown and to see what type of opportunities are out here for English. I was thinking of a Mr. G's English Cafe. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So we know so many people that have come and gone over the years, but not many come back. We always joke that you'll be back in a couple of years. But the ones, I mean, lots of them leave permanently, and most of the ones who come back are married, and they come back because their wives' families are from here and they're coming to visit. But you're one of the first guys I know who just came back just to see what's going on and hang out and have some kimchi and come back for the food. What is it that you really missed, or why did you really want to make it back?
I just love Korea.
Yeah.
I love the people, the culture, the food, especially. Ulsan is a great city. It's just like Medellin, Colombia. It's a beautiful city. It's not the capital, and I just wanted to see how much it's grown, and it's grown so much. And it's great to see you guys.
We were talking the other day about also visiting the same place, or a place you visited at different stages in your life. You know, when you were here, you were a single guy.
Yes.
Right. You were a single guy.
A lot of fun.
Now you're married with a kid.
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old little girl.
With a 3-year-old daughter. What? Tell us a little bit about the wife. Where did you meet her?
We met ColombianCupid.com, believe it or not, a dating site.
That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
You click on that.
Yeah, but if you
Plenty of
put
Fish's cousin.
but if you put like you know, if you're honest and put your real age and all your interests and everything, and so we met, and ever since then, we've been dating, and we dated for about 3 years, and then we had a kid.
Nice.
We got married first, and then had a kid, and it's just it's been an awesome experience. I was not expecting to have a child. I just wanted to just travel with my wife.
Boys are stronger than you thought.
Yeah, well,
The boys can swim. Awesome. That's wicked, man.
Were you working in Colombia first, or did
Yes.
you meet her on ColombianCupid.com from the States?
no, I went to Medellin, Colombia, because I always wanted to work at a university here in Ulsan. I tried at Ulsan Day. I tried down in Busan and Yongsan, and it seems like you need connections. It's really difficult to get in. So I was working in the elementary school system here for a couple of years, and it was a great job, great pay, super people, love Korea. But I wanted to kind of expand my mind, or push myself a little more. So with that in mind, I'm Colombian American, and I decided to go to Medellin, Colombia, and I got a job there. It's a little different than getting a job here. In Colombia, you have to get the job yourself. You don't have a recruiter. You have to pay for your apartment. You have to pay for your airfare.
You just get the job. You got to show up early and do your due diligence.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Jeez Louise.
yeah, but coming out here, and it was such a challenge that I was like, I could do this. I speak the language, so.
Right.
What part of your family is Colombian, and what do you still have lots of ties there, and family or distant family there? Or, I mean, our ancestors or families come from Italy, but I still have some my mom's cousins and my mom's cousins' kids are all still there. So we do have some distant connections, and through Facebook and stuff, we can keep in touch, and that would make it possible to unite with them once we get over there. Do you have a similar situation in Colombia, or were you just going there blind, knowing Spanish and having a father or mother who was Colombian? Or?
Well, my mom and dad are Colombian. My dad is from La Ceja, and that's in Medellin, and my mom's from Armenia.
Medellin's the state.
It's a city. It's a city. Antioquia is the state.
Oh, okay.
And we went out there. They met in Los Angeles, and they had me. And all my life growing up in Los Angeles, I just wanted to assimilate and be American. And in LA, we have a big Mexican population. They go, "Oh, you're Speedy Gonzalez, Mexican." I go, "No, I'm not. I'm Colombian." And they're like, "Oh, that's the same." I'm like, "No, it's so different."
Just like Japanese and Korean.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I learned the difference.
And they call us American. I still get it twice a week.
Yeah.
Migo salam.
The biggest mistake I made early here was New Zealand and Australia. Dude, I just said that's basically the same thing, and the daggers I got after that, I grew up fast. Coming here,
They all are, right? I mean, that's traveling around the world. That's what you learn.
Well,
It's the same for Koreans to think Americans and Canadians are the same. I understand that.
Totally different.
But if you ask them, they're different. If you ask the Canadians, well, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, they're all the same. But they're very, very different, right? So
oh, God.
once you travel there, you learn the differences and what makes them similar and what makes them different. So
what was great about being here is I learned the history between Korea and Japan, and it was very sad. It hurt me a lot. And since I love Korean so much, and then I learned the difference between Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, and it's just so, the language, the customs, the facial expressions, everything. So now when I see people, and because in Colombia, everybody's Chino, Chinese Chino. No, but
it's the same in Canada too.
It's a big difference.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I love Canadians because they're so easygoing.
Good at hockey.
You want to drink beer, you want to watch a movie, whatever. They're like, yeah, whatever. But Americans, we're a little messed up,
Yeah, I'm not going to argue.
We're very complicated.
Good times.
When you were saying about thinking that the Koreans, the Japanese, everything the same. Yeah, and it's interesting being in the middle in Korea here because there's a lot of Japanese influences here and a lot of Chinese influences here.
Definitely.
And how the kids still learn Chinese growing up, but they like to distance themselves from China, but the Hanja is still part of the public school system. They all have their official name stamps in Chinese characters still. So it's interesting to see, being in the middle sandwiched, you get kind of an understanding of the Japanese and the Chinese's influences here over the years. Before they kind of grew up and became their own identity.
Definitely.
One thing that bothers me though is that even still with some of the young generations, the anti-Japanese sentiment. Oh, there's some kids that are just, oh, I hate Japan. I don't know. I can't speak on behalf of Koreans, and I'm gonna get roasted for this at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know how a 12-year-old hates Japan so bad when it was
because they're just reflecting their parents or families.
That's what it usually is.
Generations
Yes.
ago.
You're not born a racist or born to hate or born whatever. I mean, you learn that from your society.
Well, that's kind of interesting that you talk about the differences between China and Japan and Korea. Where I live in Colombia, where there's a big problem right now in Venezuela, and we have a lot of people immigrating to Colombia. Right. Brazil closed the border, so they're all just coming. And Colombia is not the richest country in the world, you guys. Right. Although the GDP has grown over the past 6 or 7 years, every year it's one of the growing.
Haven't hit those
survival
numbers yet.
Survival doesn't matter. You're trying to survive. That's been going on for years.
Yes,
it's gotten very desperate in the last 6 months, but it's been going on for years there. And man, when you're desperate, you go anywhere except where you're at. So,
and that's even seeing the refugees show up. Who they were, the Yemenis. Yemenis refugees that showed up in Jeju, and people are going, "Oh, okay." And maybe I've been guilty of this too, thinking that all refugees are like homeless people that are showing up. But there's doctors and lawyers, and they just literally can't live in their country,
But then people wonder if you had enough money to come to Korea. Well, you got money, you're rich. Like, what do you? Why are you coming here? But they're dropping bombs on my house.
Yeah.
So I can't stay there.
I mean, there's no toilet paper, you guys, in Venezuela. I mean, and food and medicine.
Sure, nothing. Yeah.
Now there's no electricity, so it's really sad. And I hope it doesn't affect Colombia, and I hope there's not a war or anything there either. But yeah, it's just a little point of view there.
Growing up in a Netflix society, I'm exposed to Colombian culture only through Narcos. Why don't you squash some of my preconceptions here about a dangerous society, and it's not like that, obviously.
Well,
your day-to-day life isn't dodging bullets and selling bags.
Not at all. Not at all. When I told my mom after I came back from Korea, I checked out Costa Rica to work and live there, pura vida. But in Costa Rica, the cost of living is really high. Beautiful country, nice people. And I realized it wasn't for me. And I go, well, I'm Colombian, so might as well check it out and find out a little bit about myself. And I told my mom, I go, Mom, I'm thinking about going to Colombia. The first thing she said is mijo. That means son in Spanish. It's dangerous. I go, Mom, that's the same thing you told me when I went to Korea. And Korea is safer than the States.
Mijo, you know what's narcos?
No, she's like, everybody's mafioso there. And to be honest, I lived there 7 years, going on 8. I have never seen anybody. And I've never seen anybody close. Maybe at a casino here and there. Maybe somebody that, I don't know, but it's just a myth. Even Colombians.
That's why you have to go, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't read the newspaper, watch the news. Lots of the places I went to, my sister and I got stuck in the coup in Ivory Coast. I was in Burma or Myanmar when the Buddhist monk, all the craziness happened there and the eruptions, and they started taking hostage the Buddhist monks. And I mean, even those things, it doesn't involve me, so it's not even dangerous to me. There is some dangerous stuff going on, but unless you're going looking for it, you're not going to find it.
It's when I went to Thailand over here, they were doing the military coup or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, 7 or 8 years. They were like, don't go to Thailand. And it's like, it's fine as long as you're not protesting.
Those are the best times to go. The plane tickets drop, everything drops, the hotels are empty, you get good deals. But I've learned that through traveling through lots of places that, I've been to some crazy or dangerous places, but even in the Darien Gap, when I was in the middle there between Panama and Colombia, and that's all they say, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. But you're not. That's what they show you on these TV shows or on the news, but that's not real life there.
The best thing to do is hang out with the people from the country, and they're gonna steer you in the right direction. Sure. If you're with a bunch of tourists, you might get yourself in trouble.
No doubt. I agree. And even when it got a little hot over here, I mean, I remember a couple redneck uncles out west, they're sending me, you better come home, you better get your ass on the next plane right out of there. Shit's gonna happen.
If you watch CNN, they got the picture of Trump and the picture of Kim Jong-un, facing down like a Rocky Drago, and there's a red light flashing behind, and you'd think they dropped the nuke, but it's tensions are high.
I send the message back, Uncle, you better watch out because I think those missiles reach the West Coast now. So you're in more danger than I am. It's not coming here.
Brian, that's what part of the reason after 2 years, almost 3 years that I left, I went back home is because there was the military strike at the island. You remember that?
Yongbyon-do.
Yeah. And like 10, 20 people died. And the funny thing is South Korea never retaliates.
And the rest of the country doesn't blink.
Yeah. Things happen, people die, and they try to like ignore it. And
they retaliated pretty heavy in that one.
Did they?
They destroyed where they were launching from. Yeah, I mean they pummeled that area. But in general, the reaction is pretty.
But if they did retaliate, well, which is crazy. If someone punches me, I'm going to punch him right back in the mouth. But if they did retaliate, dude, that's war.
That's it.
It's a
calculated retaliation.
Yeah.
They know what they can do.
They're provoking.
Sure. But the South Koreans know what they can do, what they can't do, what is going to set it off, what won't, for the most part. And that's why I think their reactions and responses are always very calculated and just enough to send a message, hey, but not enough to start the big fiasco.
Just a big chess game. Man.
Well, when Kim Jong-un killed his brother,
when
the girls put the makeup
that's
on
wild,
him.
Did you hear the backstory to that?
No.
They told them they were on a game show. They said I think they told the women like, "Oh, you guys are on a game show. Go."
There was two of them. They set one free and the other one's in jail, or how did that ended up?
It just ended up in the news again recently.
I
saw about it, and I don't remember what the outcome was, but they made the news again recently that one either was set free or paid a fine or something.
Jesus.
So tell us a little more about Colombia there. What are the most common misconceptions?
Well, Colombia is just, the people are really friendly. They're really kind, just like Koreans, just like Canadians, just like most Americans. It's a beautiful country, a lot of mountains, a lot of animals, a lot of
coffee.
The cost of living is really low. Like Korea, compared to the United States, the cost of living is low. But it's almost the same, but it's still a little bit lower. But in Colombia, I'm telling you, you can get a lunch or a dinner for like $2 or $3.
No way.
But what is the minimum wage?
Well, now the minimum wage is like $300 a month. I was making $1,000 a month.
The $3 lunch is pretty expensive then.
Yeah.
Just balling, eh?
Yeah,
$1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month, and I'm living like a king.
No.
Rent is like $200 or $300. Food is like $100 or $200.
Your salary now is $1,000 a month?
Yeah.
You get paid in US dollars or?
No, in pesos.
Pesos. Wow. Are the people there? Are they as laid back? When I go to
so laid back. Oh my God.
That's one. We just went to Philippines in winter vacation there, and just arriving at the airport, it's so nice to see people laid back and kick back. When you're here, everyone's very uptight.
Bali.
Gotta go quick. There, can I use the bathroom? Yeah, man, just go around the corner. And he's sitting down at the airport, and it was it's such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. I find that in most of the developed world, most of the developed cities, they have some type of Bali.
LA, New York,
and some of the I guess poor, a little bit poorer countries, and the poorer you get, the more laid back and relaxed it is. Because I've traveled all over and worked all over, but I remember in Ghana, the guys could just lay down on the benches for hours on end and say, "Shouldn't you go try and make some money today or do something?" "I'll do it in a little bit." No concern in the world that just relaxing. It's the number one hobby of men.
Stress and anxiety medicine is not doing well, and Big Pharma is not doing well in Ghana.
Well, in the U.S., you're 5 minutes, you're late. 10 minutes, and you're gone.
Yeah.
But in Colombia, I see some of my students, and they wait for 30 minutes, an hour for their friends. I had a student once, and he didn't show up for the first 3 days of class. And I go, "Carlos, where were you?" He goes, "I'm late." 3 days. I was like, "Geez, you're really late." So, yeah, it's just a different kind of lifestyle because of the transportation. They rely on public transportation. Sometimes the traffic.
Yeah.
They eat lunch at home with their parents. It's a different kind of lifestyle for college students. They usually, most of them, 90% of them live with their parents.
Nice.
And they don't leave the house until they get married. Yeah. In the U.S., we go away, we live in a dorm, kind of like in Canada, same.
Yeah.
Party,
Absolutely.
get into trouble.
Depends on the person, though,
And your parents are like, either get a job or go to university.
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out or go to school.
But in Colombia, you could be 40 years old and you could still be living with your parents. And they like that, So some of the similarities in Korean culture with Colombian culture is family first.
It's something that we're losing back home.
But we were talking about this at dinner the other night. We got to go out for dinner. It was nice. And I said, I also used to envy the Korean family culture when I moved here.
Yeah.
And thought it was admirable that they're always, the weekends, that every kid says, I'm going to grandma, grandpa's. I'm going to grandma, grandpa's. And I thought that's awesome that they see them so much and they're around their family so much. Every Thanksgiving, every Chinese New Year, family, family, family. But now that I'm married into a family,
yes,
and I get to see it live, it's a different story. I mean, they're all miserable. The 4 uncles sit on the floor. They drink, sleep for 2 days, and then they're gone. And I think, when we get together for Christmas or, Easter to a lesser extent or Thanksgiving, but any kind of family functions are, charades, Pictionary, any kind of board games. We finish dinner, everyone helps cook, everyone helps clean up, and everyone sits down and enjoys a coffee, dessert, or drink and plays board games or dominoes or Mexican train or whatever.
Christmas
all night long.
Christmas we used to do Don Cherry's Rock'em Sock'em. Oh, it's
Don Cherry. Oh boy.
It was just the my cousin would get that. Everyone would sit down, watch that for an hour. But like you're saying, people here almost dread women. Absolutely. Especially. Oh, it's the holiday, and then you kind of pull your comment back and be like, oh, you're gonna be slaving over the stove. And,
so it's gotten better these days. They used to go for 2 or 3 days to the husband's parents' house, and now I said they go for as short as they can, leave, go to their parents' short as they can, and then try and enjoy something as a family, which I think is also good that they get that chance. But I just found that our family time was so much more quality than quantity.
There you go.
And because it was only 2 or 3 times a year, once you're grown up and you're spread out across the country, or it's a big place, Canada, as the States. But when you got together, that was prime time. And I'm going back for 3 weeks. Bry's going back. Those are awesome, awesome times. Yeah. And sometimes I think better than, I remember living in the house together with my 4 siblings. Sometimes we wouldn't even say hello to each other in the morning. You just take for granted that you all live. You just come, go to, all 5 of us will go to university in 5 different cars. We all go to different part-time jobs, all come home. Hey, goodbye, good morning, see you later. That was it. We live in the same house.
Well, that's funny you said that, because that's why I wanted to go back to Colombia, because I wanted a different kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
I was working 3 jobs in Florida. I was a teacher in the morning. Then I would work at the gym till 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, selling memberships. I got my degree in kinesiology. I'm basically a PE teacher. Cool. And then at night I would valet cars and make some extra money, cash. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I had my apartment. I had a nice car, 350Z. And I left all that and I came to Korea much happier.
A lot of people can't break that spell, or you get the car, you get the apartment, like, oh, gotta maintain, and sometimes you blink and it's, oh my, it's been 10 years, it's been another 5 years, what am I doing?
And dating is tough.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, oh, American women are easy and blah, blah, blah. All my friends here in Korea. And I'm like, no, they're not. It's really complicated.
That's why I give a base level of credit to anyone. Some people we say, hey, maybe this isn't for you or whatever, but I give everyone a base level of credit for showing up here because they took that jump.
Oh, it's a leap of faith.
They took the risk to leave whatever at home, or the society is telling you finished uni, now get a job, get a house, get a girlfriend, get a boyfriend, get married. But no, I'm going to Korea. Huh?
What?
Okay, well,
it's dangerous.
I'm staying an extra year. It's pretty cool here. It's
what?
6 years. I'm still here. So
my friend Danny in Busan.
You meet some foreigners that you just think maybe Korea is not meant for you. You should go try somewhere else.
Well, most of them it's not. It's not.
I give them that credit because, man, they did something that most people aren't doing, and that's just jumping out of their comfort zone and going to, it's one thing to go to Europe where a lot of us have ancestors, or South America, Christian, Latino languages, but or Roman languages. But coming to Asia, that's a lot different. That's very different. So I give everyone credit just for getting here. And
I didn't even know where Korea was on the map. If you showed me a map before I came here, I couldn't even pick out where's Korea.
2002.
You don't know where Canada is, do you?
Up north.
I learned in 2002 World Cup. They beat the Italians in the World Cup there. Possibly the worst. The worst.
I cannot
officiating
believe
game.
that. I cannot believe
Watch
that.
the game. But they beat them, and we're scrambling on the maps like, what? Who's?
Well, the funny thing is, in LA, it's a big melting pot. You got people from all over. So I had a lot of Korean friends, and we always speak in English, Cuban, Mexican, whatever, Korean. And we play golf, we play tennis, we play basketball. And I go, damn, my friends are cool. So I figured, if they're cool, I'm sure if I go to Korea, they're going to be cool too. Yeah. And guess what? They are. It's amazing.
That's making that decision to break and leave everything is good. And I found in my life, 2 or 3 times that I've done that were my biggest growth period. First coming here.
Yes.
Second with.
What year did you come in, Brian?
2007.
Okay, so right around when I came.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even another one with exercising, the mentality growing up, going through high school was like, lift as much as you can. And I remember going.
You were pretty buff in 2007. Yeah. Damn. And Nate, you got younger out here. The kimchi and the soju.
But they, changing my mind about exercise. And I remember going home, being able, go squat 2.5 plates.
I believe it.
But not being able to bend over and touch my toes. I went home. I remember my buddies like, hey, check out. It was a yellow men's fitness powerlifting book. It's like, hey, can you do a pistol squat? I'm like, of course I can. I could squat 2 plates, no problem. Dude, couldn't do it. And I had to totally change my mind about about how to approach working out, or had to kind of take it 1 step back and 2 steps forward. But like you said, making those breaks or being aware that you're not in the best position.
Well, sometimes you're forced to make breaks, because in 2007 and 2008, when I came out, it was a big, like a depression in the United States, all over the world actually. And it was serious. I lost my job at the high school I was at because I was a new teacher. So I just, I was filling out online, applications, and they accepted me in Korea, did a phone interview, and then when I knew it was for reals is when they sent me the contract, FedEx, and it was in Korean, and I said, oh shit, this is real. I was just going through it like, okay. And then when I told my mom, she's like, it's dangerous. And then when I told all my friends, they're like, are you crazy? Really? But then the closer I got to leaving, it was really interesting. I had the people that were most surprised and gave me the most kind of like, what are you doing? At the very end, they just like, dude, I'm so proud of you. How can you do that? Yeah. And then they've just seen me grow. And
that's when you told them I'm going to South Korea, not North Korea.
Yeah. And then when I went back to LA, like some of my high school friends, they're living in the same place, doing the same things. And I'm like, oh my God. Now my college friends, they're mostly married and have kids. So it was great to see them too. And just like you guys, it's just amazing. You guys have beautiful families. And when you have a family, you really find out the true values of what's important. Sure. And our lives aren't that important. We just want to take care of our kids. Do you guys agree? Yeah.
I was going to make a joke there, but no. I totally can't.
Now everything's for the kids.
Yeah.
But that's why a couple of things. It's great to have you come back, because we don't have people who just come back to stop in and visit, and or maybe they do, but I didn't know them. But I mean, most people who've been in town here over the years, we've gotten to know a lot of them, and most people don't just come back for their vacation. They're going to go to the beach, they're going to go to a European dream trip, or they're not coming back to Korea for kimchi. And I was going to say before, if I asked my wife for a free pass to go back to Ghana just for a week because I missed the kenkey and the banku, that's nothing dirty there. Those are traditional foods.
Can you define that, sir?
But I wonder what my wife would say. Well, you don't have to do that. Why? You haven't been there in 10 years. Why would you go back there? You don't need that. No, let's go on a family trip. So I think it's cool that you got a free pass and you chose to come back here, and it's great to see you. It's awesome. I love it.
Well, that's the reason I got married.
Yeah.
I mean, there are beautiful women in Medellin, in Colombia, and just, Miss Universe, check it out. But my wife is beautiful, but more importantly, she has some really good values, and we have a really great relationship. And so we're not the type that we're like, checking up on each other, texting every 5 minutes or whatever.
Sure.
It's like, that's why we got married. And it's just a wonderful thing.
That's something I like about the I don't want to generalize all Korean women, but maybe I will. No, I'm joking. Maybe just about my wife, just has those traditional family values, and there's trust in that. I don't know. It's nice, man. I see a lot of people at home, or not necessarily friends, but I mean just in the media or whatever, that lots of no trust, or let me check your text messages.
Oh my God, here's my phone, here's my email, check it out.
Why would you? And something that we got married around the same time, and something that we talked about, like, why? What do you get married for if you wanna step out? And that's also with the older guys here. Me and Nate are kind of second generation Ulsan foreign teachers, but how much those guys like to party and drink. The best thing I think that they've instilled in us is, if you're gonna get married, you stay true to your wife. And
totally,
that's
you just lie into yourself.
You can't step out.
But whatever you like it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But I worked my butt off in Colombia. I had class at 6 a.m. I had class at in the evening. I'd finish at 9:30 in the evening, and then I'd have to grade papers or get ready for the next. It was a really busy lifestyle, and I did that because I'd established credit, and I wanted to get a loan, and we bought an apartment. Nice. So I worked my butt off, and I told my wife that, and then now she got a job at a uni and could help out with the bills.
Nice.
She was helping out before, but I mean, that's a relationship. It's never 50-50. It's 60-40, 70-30, 80-20. It's never 50-50 or 99 and 1, so.
It's something that that I have to tell the wife too. I think sometimes she feels because financially, like the foreign husbands are usually the breadwinners.
Yeah.
I said, without you taking care of the kids or cooking, I can't do that. It's totally 50-50. Just because mine earns money and yours doesn't mean it's any less value.
Hello, I'm Mr. Mom now.
Yeah.
And my wife earns money and I take care of the kids.
So. And you know what? I'd rather go work. Well, not I'd rather. It's easier to go work and make money than to take care of the kids, because you have to have patience, which I have none. And it's just a whole new ballgame. But you know what? Every day is great, and I just thank God that I had the opportunity to do that, because my dad left me when I was 2 years old, and I grew up without a dad. So I was like, you know what? If I have a kid, if I'm lucky enough to have a kid, I want to be there for that kid.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's just
awesome,
about priorities, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You mentioned going home and seeing some guys who are still doing the same things in the same places, and I find that one of the hardest things going home, the reverse culture shock, that I just feel not at all that I'm better, or I just feel different and that I don't fit in, and I'm thinking about so many different things, and like these guys bug me that I talk lots, but when somebody asks me a question, my whole 80-something countries that I've been to flashes in my head, and I'm drawing from experiences over the last, 20, 30 years. And then I feel, well, guys don't want to hear that. People don't. No. They don't give a shit.
They don't care.
Yeah. They don't want to hear. Even my mom and dad, they're interested for 1 day, for 2 days. And it's like, well, how many stories do you have? And I'm like, I could talk for 5 years. But even my best audience, probably my parents, they're bored after a day or two, and they're like. Well,
sometimes strangers are more on the bus bench or somewhere, are more interested.
So if you tell me you've been to any kind of places, we can talk about stuff. Yeah. And that's why I think it was awesome that my parents, all my family, my brothers and sisters, my parents, they've all come here. My dad, my sister came to Ghana. We got a different connection at home because they know we've experienced some of the same things, some really crazy, wild, cool things.
The makuku, where you just said before.
Eating kenke and banku with your hands, and fufu, and just those kind of things. So I can connect with at least my dad and my sister for the Ghanaian level, and those kind of things in Africa. And all of them came to Korea, so they always know. When I post a picture, they can imagine, they can guess. They went to the fish markets. We slept 12 people in my 2-room apartment. I mean, they know what it's like, right? Man. So, but lots of my buddies, like you said, in high school or uni, it's just hard to connect anymore. And it's just kind of like, hey man, how's it going? Good. And we're buddies, and what's new? How's the family lives? But I try and not get into any stories. And if someone says, "What's Korea like?" Well, I could tell you stories
God
for 10
almighty.
year,s but they don't want to hear that. So I think that's kind of like
They probably wouldn't
courtesy.
They probably wouldn't believe the stories because there's so many crazy things that happen here that people don't,
But it's like the courtesy question, right? Hey, how's Korea?
Yeah, and then-
it's good.
That's it.
Well, the guy in my gym's blow drying his nuts. He's in the sauna. He won't. He's hogging the hair dryer.
Oh, the bathhouses are just a whole freaking chapter, a whole book. Yeah.
So I mean, you going back going back from here to America and then Colombia to America. Do you get a lot of that reverse culture shock? And do you feel like you don't fit in anymore? You told me that you're thinking about going back to the States again after Colombia. Part of my hesitation to go home is that I just don't know if I can assimilate back to life at home.
Well, I married a Colombian woman, and most Colombians' dream is to go to the United States. So we're going to go back, like it or not. And my daughter is 3 years old, and the plan is, and we're staying on course, is when she begins school to go back to the U.S. because I want her to have all the opportunities I had with my degree. It opened a lot of doors. I would not be the man that I am right now. And so I want to give her all the opportunities. So I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it more for my wife. And then she wants to work and, get a pension and all that stuff, But really, I'd rather stay in Colombia or go to Brazil or Japan or do something different. But you know what? It's about them now. So that's where I'm at. So, I know the pluses in mine. Shopping is cool and Disney. And there's a lot of cool things back home.
Also expensive.
Very expensive. Very expensive. In Colombia, education is very expensive, just like Korea.
Really? Are they as crazy as?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Not as crazy because they don't go to school on Saturdays, but English is a priority. English is a priority. It's very expensive, the classes. And then
private English academies and.
Yes, and private schools. The public school system is not like the best, so it's expensive.
So is that not an option for you then, starting an English school there?
I'm not thinking that way.
Or does your name give it away? This guy doesn't teach English.
Yeah, exactly. Mauricio Gutierrez is pretty much as Colombian as can be. I asked my mom, I'm like, Mom, why did you name me Mauricio? Why didn't you name me John or Brian or Nate? And she's like, oh, Mauricio is such a beautiful name. I go, Mom, it sounds gay. Nobody can pronounce it. So,
but
I get to Medellin and everybody's, hey, Mauricio, and I'm like, I'm home.
But I'm Nathaniel Tiberio. I mean, Nate is for ease of traveling around the world because people butcher your name so bad. So, Nathaniel Tiberio is also a little bit weird.
And what's your last name? Brian
Ciro Lametto.
Oh, man. When I was looking at working abroad, I thought of Italy, but Italy doesn't pay very much, and it's really difficult to get a job.
Yeah. That's it's funny too that you've seen my name on Facebook a million times. Couldn't pronounce it. You know who pronounces it perfect? A grade 2 Korean kid who's learned how to read from phonics. You show them the name like, oh, Ciro Lametto. Like, yeah, just like my nono says. Any substitute teacher I had growing up, Brian girl.
Oh yeah,
girl. Yeah. They always butcher it.
Because the one thing, I don't know, in Canada, you have a lot of people from all over the world, but in the U.S., man, it's just you're born in a state or a city, and you don't leave.
Yeah.
You don't leave. It's really hard just to go to another city, let alone another state.
I
don't know how it is in Canada.
My hometown's the same. It's maybe 80,000. Maybe 80, well, close to 85 now, but whatever. It's not many people leave. And I found out of my group of friends, a few have left, have gone, explored and traveled. And when I come back, I have almost a closer bond with them. Just like Nate was saying, you have a deeper understanding or wider view of the world, not just Toronto to Mexico on a resort, or here to the resort in the States, or you have that being out of your comfort zone, having to adapt to a whole
My
new
biggest
lifestyle.
move was going from Los Angeles to Orlando, because my mom bought a home in Orlando and she retired out there, and I was like, okay, as soon as I finish my degree, I'll go out and I'll see
Wrestle alligators.
Yeah, so I got in my truck and my dog and threw everything I had, and I traveled across the country of the U.S. and it was a bad experience. I did not like Orlando. And living with my mom, I was like, 30 years old living with my mom. It was just like every day. But later on, now that she's gone, I really appreciate those moments with her.
Absolutely.
But the culture is like you're living with your mom and stuff like that. So that move just propelled me to be able to come to Korea, and Korea propelled me to be able to come to Colombia. And now I'm willing and able to do whatever.
Kind of free, yeah. So do you associate yourself more as a Floridian now or a Californian?
Oh, I'm always Californian. I'm always LA.
You were talking lots about Miami the other day there.
Yeah. Miami's great, but Miami has more. My God, where I was staying at the hotel, or the hostel actually, it was full of Brazilians, and they're all speaking Portuguese, and my messed up Spanish, and we were just laughing and enjoying our company. And it brought back some good times. And that's why I want to talk about Mr. G's English Cafe, because I see a big need in the world. And this idea came to me here in Korea, because everybody pays a lot of money for hagwons, and English is so important. And there's nowhere to practice. You have to go to Canada or the US or Australia. A lot of Koreans go to Vancouver and Australia. And, why not have a place here where you can exchange language and culture? I heard in Busan, I was talking to Danny, and he's telling me there's a place where you could exchange, and a foreigner helps you learn Spanish or
they have some
English
language exchange
groups
here.
They do
language
coffee
exchange.
shops
And stuff.
Yeah, in coffee shops.
But they're kind of like Thursdays at 7 p.m. There's not any.
No, I want it in one
designated
place.
as
No drop in.
Come here and people will speak other languages.
I'm gonna open one too. When I open my barber.
Let's do it.
When I open my barbershop.
Let's
I'm
do
gonna
it.
retrain as a barber. I already got the name for the place. It's B3. Brian's Bald Brian's Barbershop.
B3. I love it.
Beautiful.
It's all in the name.
Yeah, or B4. Beautiful Brian's Bald Barbershop.
So
I'll throw another B in there.
I don't want to get rich, although I like money. It's great. I just think there's a need.
Absolutely.
I just think there's a need for something like this, and I just got to get down and write a business plan.
So where would that fit in your plans of moving back for school for your daughter?
Well, Orlando has a lot of Cubans and Colombians and Venezuelans, and so does Miami. Los Angeles is full of immigrants. Korea, anywhere in Seoul or here in Ulsan or Busan, it's just a need. It's just a need to be able to.
Yeah, but what about for the education for your daughter?
My daughter?
Because you said you'd move back to the States you want your daughter to go and have the opportunities you had. If you moved to Korea in a year or two, would that change your plans, or you'd come for 2 or 3 years fixed time and then back to the States?
There you go. That's what I would do. So I got like about 2 years to maybe do a little bit of traveling or anything, because it's tough for a kid to assimilate, especially if everybody else speaks Korean or English or Portuguese or something. So I don't know about that, but
I also think when they're young,
they can.
So many times they're sponges. They can. They're so flexible.
They can.
And it'll just build them up for future experiences in life. That thick skin.
Yes.
And the ability to adapt and the ability to change that white suburbia Canada or America probably doesn't get.
No.
But so growing up in LA, you felt, with immigrant parents, did you feel fully American or
no? Not at all.
Okay.
I felt American, but all my friends would call me, Speedy Gonzalez.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm not Mexican, you guys.
Yeah.
Like
it's the same.
all the Asian guys,
Yeah,
Jackie Chan.
I'm not, and so it was hard. So I would say, oh no, I'm Italian, really? I would lie because I wanted to assimilate so badly.
Interesting.
So that was a difficult.
I think there's a lot of those divides, very strong divides still in the States, right? It's
I'm like, I'm American, and I know my mom would speak to me in Spanish and I would answer back in English.
Yeah. Okay. Growing up in LA, I think there's, like we talked about before, there's some big moments. First to get the '88 World Series. Yeah, that was a big one. What I wanted to focus on, maybe the earthquake. You were around for that. In Ulsan we had one just 2-3 years ago. Just 3 years ago.
How big? 6.55?
4.3.
No. The big one was 5.7, wasn't it?
No, not that big here.
Dude, it was 5.
5.1 maybe.
Wait,
Maybe
now
just over 5.
Dude, it's 5.7.
There's a lot of buildings here. It might be kind of scary, huh?
But it was just released recently that it was because of a power plant, and it was a power plant in Daegu. Or, yeah, maybe Daegu. I can't remember exactly where it was. Somewhere in Korea, there was a power plant, like spraying water, maybe like a fracking kind of deal. And that caused the earthquakes. Maybe it was Pohang. It was in Pohang, yeah. And that caused earthquakes around here. Dude, it was horrifying. Like on a world scale, it was nothing. It shook for like 5-10 seconds. Dude, I shook.
Japanese would laugh at it, but it happened every Tuesday
every Monday
for 3 weeks in a row at almost the same time, 7 p.m. or something. Yeah. 3 Mondays in a row.
No, it was two Mondays in a row. There was really, dude. Sure. Yeah, I remember.
Maybe a month later, then
I was in class asking, like, there was I had 2 classes in a row. The first class, that was like a 4 point something. Everyone was freaked out, and they said, "Okay, we're going home." And I thought, "Oh, I got one more class. Should I leave? Should I stay?"
I hope you left.
No, I stayed. It wasn't that bad. Second one,
never been earthquakes.
Well, my mom left Los Angeles to go to Orlando because of the earthquakes.
I came home at night.
She left. She goes, "I'm not going to be here anymore."
Yeah. I came home and told my wife, like, if there's something that makes me move home, it was that. I've trained, I exercise, I feel not invincible, but that I can handle myself. I'm invincible. Who can? No, but I feel I can handle myself. I'm not scared. Whatever. Not that fight or. Dude, that earthquake made me feel so insignificant and powerless and hopeless. It was horrible.
When the Northridge earthquake hit, I was in my room. I was living alone, and it happens early in the morning. It woke me up, and the walls were shaking, and the pictures were shaking, and I thought my house was possessed. I thought the devil came to I was like,
these mushrooms are awesome.
I started running outside in my underwear, and then I realized it was an earthquake. But I thought, I don't know, I guess I'm Catholic and religious. I thought, oh, my house is possessed. And back then I was doing a lot of crazy things. So.
Wow.
My first one was up in Seoul. We went up for K1 one year for the ultimate fighting, whatever, KFC, UFC kind of K1 kickboxing, whatever championships. Very reasonable price, way cheaper than going in Japan or anywhere else. And we were, I don't know, 8 of us staying in a love motel or something.
I know that. I was on the floor.
I was the youngest guy, and I ended up in the room with 2 older guys. They got the bed, I got the floor. And we went home late at night, and we were drunk. And I remember waking up, and the floor was shaking. And I didn't know if I was in a dream. And I was like, can you guys feel this? Can you guys feel this? And I'm like, is somebody getting really wild in the next room? Or what the heck is going on? And we just wrote it off as we were all drunk and dreaming or whatever. And then once I came home, and I had a couple picture frames on the floor. And then I looked at the news, and they said it was an earthquake.
How big?
4 something. There's never been real big earthquakes.
Well, it's kind of interesting. In Armenia, Colombia, they had a really big earthquake. 10,000 people died. And check it out on Google.
Good Lord.
10,000 in 1999.
After
10,000 people. And
but
now
some
I live
of that
there.
I wonder is because of poor infrastructure.
Definitely. No, that's what it was.
In Nepal and those.
Yeah,
dude, it shakes I don't think I think from what I know, the shaking, it can go like parallel or up and down. Yeah. Or there's like an up and down shake and like a back and forth shake.
Or a rolling type of,
And the duration of it. They said the 9s, dude, it shakes for like 5 minutes. I had 10 seconds. I was
could not
crying.
imagine. 1 second is an eternity.
As I said, the guys in Japan, I mean,
1 second
they
is
get
an
them
eternity.
Monthly, right? The ones that we felt were huge here, they get those on a weekly basis.
Time, yeah.
Sure.
I had my old coworker. She said she was in Japan during a 6.7 or something. She was in a restaurant. She said it was everything was shaking, glasses, everything smashed. She was crying. She looked around. Everyone was just
riding it out.
It stopped, and then everyone just like, let's get back to work.
But the eerie one about
it's the infrastructure, though. It's the infrastructure that gets
the eerie thing about the ones here was it happened the next week. Like we thought, okay, that's once in a lifetime here that you get that kind. It was the next week, the same day, the same time, and like I remember looking and the bed was going like this. I went, this is crazy because some, probably Makali infused address. He built this building 30 years ago. The walls are crooked. I mean, I don't live in a perfectly sound place. And
I was in a different place.
This is going to fall down. There's no way
Yes.
this is meant. And is there any kind of health and safety that they come and inspect the foundations or?
Well, in LA, they do all seismic proof.
No, but I'm talking about Ulsan, man. There is
think
no.
In 91,
There is no checking.
I don't
in
think so.
91, it was since I think after 1991, the rebar, the reinforced concrete was mandatory.
But
If your
there's
place
no,
built before that,
no earthquake-proof stuff here. I mean, they talk about Vancouver all the time. I mean, San Fran, LA, Mexico. I remember being in Mexico City. Those
Mexico.
those buildings are 7, 8. In Tokyo, they're 9 point whatever proof.
Jesus.
And they can sway, huge degrees each way. But Ulsan's not made for that stuff.
I live on the 14th floor in Armenia, and we had an earthquake. And my wife's like, just recently, and my wife's like, "Are you shaking the sofa?" And I'm like, "No." She goes, "It's an earthquake." And boy, did I get scared for a split second there.
God.
But the newer buildings, they're all with
Sure.
the seismic proof, and it kind of sways. You feel the sway.
Yeah.
But I think you're okay in this building, Bri. I think you're all right in this building.
I mean, when we felt them
Unless the
before,
25 floors above come down.
Yeah.
I was on the seventh floor in my old place when it happened, but this first floor, I'm good for the earthquakes, but when the typhoon rolls in and I'm sleeping in a meter of water, it might be a different
I've been to hurricanes in Florida.
Yeah.
And at least a hurricane gives you a heads up. And
Yeah,
you know
true
it's
that,
coming.
yeah.
But an earthquake can hit you at any moment, any time. And it depends where you're at.
Yeah.
You could just have bad luck. But, then again, that's life,
Sure.
And we can't live scared.
Absolutely, yeah. Gotta enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Now, going to Seoul, I was a little scared, because it's a big city and everything. That's why the first thing I did is when I got into Seoul is got on the plane and come to Ulsan. Because Ulsan is like home to me.
Yeah.
I look at, I feel good.
Everyone like that we've talked to so far has talked about, Ulsan feels like home, the expat community here.
And it's so tight. Yeah. It's so tight. And back home, when you go to the United States, your friends are cool with you and stuff like that, but it's not tight. Here, it's like you look after each other. People take care of you. They know how it is to be alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I spent 2 years babysitting you guys.
Yeah, and you gave us a lot. For the people that were listening, you gave us a lot of insight. But then again, there was many people that weren't listening.
Sure.
You were here for 2 years before you left, Nate?
Who?
You.
Was here when?
How long did you teach here before you went for your backpacking and then came back?
I was 2 years, then I left 2 years and came back, and I've been back almost since then.
And it's interesting, Nate wanted to work with the public school system just to get experience and see what's going on.
Yeah,
I did.
Because he had a great job already, but he's like, I want to do something else.
He came back and you were staying at Jeffy's house, and he man, where are you gonna work? I'm gonna work for public school. Oh, they can put you anywhere. He goes, no, I'm just gonna go there and talk to the principal. I'm like, oh,
Mr. Lee?
I went to the
He
board
just
of
showed
ed,
up.
and they said,
MOE.
yeah, we would take you, because they didn't even know what they were doing.
They
The
didn't.
Minister of Education was up for re-election, so they decided like 5 months before the election that this guy wasn't going to get re-elected, and that he had to do something significant, otherwise he was going to lose his spot. So he said, okay, teachers in every school, boom. And then it was like a panic. So if they could get reliable people that were here already, that was jackpot for them. So Gareth and I went right down to the Board of Ed and talked to the Minister of Education here, and we got our trips to Japan paid for our visas, which I don't think they were supposed to do, and nobody else got that. But we got to pick our own schools. They said, okay, well, go check out the schools you will like and talk to the principals and see. I said, okay, I'll take this school, please. I said, okay, that school's off the list.
But that program stopped, huh? From my understanding,
downsized.
Yeah,
EPIK
from my understanding, we had a teacher in every school.
No.
Now it's like one teacher for every 2 or 3 schools.
Yeah.
High school and middle school has decreased drastically. I believe elementary school still has, because they think the Korean teachers are
better.
Their skill and their ability level is getting better. So.
It's not about the language; it's about the culture. I could teach the grammar and.
Can you pick? The cost benefit? I wonder if it's worth it for. Unless you had like a Mr. G's classroom where kids dropped in and hung out, but
How many Spanish teachers are teaching Spanish in the States? Probably not many.
Not many.
So same thing,
well,
right?
I didn't realize at the time, but really, our job, all these new teachers that came in from Canada and the U.S., 150 kids,
Normalize
teachers,
English.
we actually were there to really help our co-teachers to practice their English.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I wonder about like I said, if an hour a week, you do one class, it was an hour a week, I assume.
Something like that.
I wonder if that's enough to pick up the culture, or if it needs to be.
Well,
we guys did the after.
Depends where you were.
What
Some are
we
2
do,
or 3
you
a week.
motivate the kids.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they see the Migook face or the
Yeah.
Canadian face or the British face. And yeah.
But I'm telling you, before that,
Yes.
that intake of a huge, I think it was around 220 teachers or something, there was, I think the only African American people I saw in this city was, what was his name? I want to say Edmondo, but that's the app. I want to say Edward, and he was from Nigeria, I believe, at the shipyard. There was a couple African guys at the shipyard, and other than that, I don't think there was an African American Canadian whoever in this city. And when they took that intake, there was so many of them, like so many people, 220, that I think probably 40 or 50 African Americans came, and that changed the whole city. Because before, directors of private academies wouldn't hire black people.
Yeah.
Not because they were racist or they didn't want to, but the parents would all take their kids out. So it wasn't even that the director didn't want to. They might have lived in Africa for 10 years or been around African Americans their whole life, but the parents would
essentially be
withdraw the
sinking their
kids, so
business,
they would just sink their business.
Well, I'm Latino,
So-
and I tell my students, I'm like, in the United States, you're not blonde hair, blue eyes. You're brown, you're short, you're tall, you're Chinese parents, you're Italian parents.
Sure.
That's America, but they have this, stereotypical thing. And I'm like, no. And names like Mauricio Gutierrez,
But-
like Brian Giomeletto, and,
But do you
that's
remember?
America. Or
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not, especially if you live big cities.
Do you remember Lamont?
I love Lamont. He's so funny.
And a couple of the other guys. And I mean, he used to say he was Heinz Ward, and he used to say he was Usain Bolt, and
they believed him.
Whoever was Emmett Smith,
I remember that guy.
Whoever he wanted,
Yeah, he was
And they
hilarious.
would ask anywhere I went with him, and I'd say, no, this is Heinz Ward's cousin. They say, oh, autographs.
Well, Heinz Ward's half Korean, right?
Yeah.
But he would sign autographs, and
Oh.
he was everywhere he went. I could introduce him as a basketball player, anybody, and everybody would believe it and ask for it.
I got a funny story.
So that group of African Americans or African Canadians that came at that intake changed the whole dynamics of Ulsan. And I don't know if people would attribute it to that, but I do because I watched it. I watched it happen, and after that, black teachers were kind of accepted, and now they're
Lamont was a great teacher.
Now they're in Hagwons and they're everywhere, just like everybody else. But until that point, it was very, very taboo. If you were to see a black teacher anywhere.
I got to swear. Lamont and I went to a disco here in Ulsan. Ulsan's a very conservative city. We didn't know that. So we went to the disco, and you have to buy your bottle and your fruits and all that. So we're like, okay. I'm surprised they let us in. So we're in the disco, and we're like, okay, let's go dance. So all the girls were dancing together, and all the guys were dancing together. So Lamont and me were like, well, what do we do? Let's dance together. It was so gay. So we're out there dancing, and then all of a sudden we're just moving our way over to the girls' side. And then by the end of the night, we were dancing with the girls, and they were having a great time. And, it's just, you got to get out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And when in Rome, you act like the Romans. Sure. But you can also... Being a foreigner, the Koreans give you you get a little leeway,
Pass.
Yeah, you got a little pass. Oh, crazy Migu, crazy Canadian, and it's okay.
Look at them dance.
And then and then they realize, wow, they're just having fun.
But I'm just so happy now that the mentality's changed. I think this generation of Koreans is a lot more open-minded. They've been exposed to a lot more culture and global
YouTube.
Well, like
things
the band that we saw, all girl Korean rock and roll band, hardcore.
Oh, you're saying that Sticky Fingers? I missed
That's
it.
sticky. It was. I was
fabulous.
like, is this really happening? I didn't believe it.
A few weeks ago, we had the Sticky Fingers guy on the podcast.
No way, he's so cool.
Oh, he's deadly. He's a great guy.
And then we went to that other bar. And,
Thursday party.
And he had a little mustache, and he was so with the hat. He was so
Colombian
cool.
Korean.
Yeah, Colombian. And I'm like, whoa! And he was just like so hip and so cool.
Yeah.
And then I noticed all the tattoos everywhere.
That's I was going
I'm
to
like,
mention.
what's going on?
With you're saying with that intake of teachers, I remember there was one guy who used to laugh. he had full sleeves and I think some tattoos coming up his neck.
Jeremy.
Jeremy, and he came with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yes,
The big,
he had to
tall
cover it
guy,
up.
yeah.
One of the greatest teachers, one of the best teachers out of all of the 200.
Just an all-around
was
great
like-
person.
Yeah.
Oh, and I thought, when they're doing the face check, looking for the stereotypical face, they would see him. But when he shows up with his tattoos, they're like, whoa. But again, he's another one that helped break down barriers.
He was an awesome teacher.
I was there one day at one of the camps when I don't know, he reached up to stretch or something and his sleeve rolled up. And one of his tatties was poking out a little bit, and one of the kids said, "Oh, sir, you have a and they pulled his sleeve up and I go, wow, where does this finish? I thought that was just a marker or something, but then he showed him he had a full sleeve tatty, and they go, wow, cool.
Hey, now those camps is another story. That's another. When is your next podcast? Because we can talk about those camps, and people will not believe the stuff that goes on. Koreans love to have fun, and they bring out the best out of all of us, like the Canadians and the British, and they make things just, I don't know, it's just really interesting stuff. I would never sing karaoke, and every time I'd have to sing Hotel California, welcome to the hotel, and it's hard to sing.
Yeah. Nate's dad taught me some big chord, dropped some wisdom on me, dropped a huge knowledge bomb. If you're not comfortable singing at the Norebang, you do Susie Q by CCR. And you know what? That's all it is. Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. I love you. Oh, Susie Q. Just that's all you got to do.
And it's great fun. If you let go and let loose, it's great fun.
Absolutely.
One of the most memorable times are Noribangs with my fellow friends.
And then I wonder why those aren't everywhere at home. I mean, kids would love to sing.
Oh,
the only chance I was singing was either in the school Christmas play or in the church choir, which both were kind of forced. But these kids go in their free time, every 10 minutes they have, they go and lock themselves 4 people in a booth, put in their obeg on, and sing 3 songs between classes.
Tack that up to cultural differences. I would never, ever sing a song at home in front of people. Good Lord.
Never.
And what's even funnier is that anyone who tries to sing who can't sing, I'll shit on them, even though I can't do it myself. Listen to this guy.
Those are the best. The people that are having the trouble singing are the best.
But now I've been to those little kind of private, whatever, like maybe 10 square foot rooms with my family. And my wife sings one, I sing one, Gina sings one, Lena dances or listens. And I guess that's how they start, because Gina can say now, hey, let's go to the singing room. And I go, really? You're 6 or 5. You want to go to the singing room? Yeah, but if we're in Songnam-dong on the Young Street, she knows there's lots of those places, and she had fun there, and she'll say, let's go to the singing room. And then it's instilled that when she's in grade 6 with an extra $2 and a couple buddies, she's probably going to go and sing her songs there.
Even public speaking, I think, is something that Koreans do flawlessly. Good Lord. When I'm at the college and they have a program where they're sending kids overseas, and always before they go, there's a little meeting where we give them, their farewell or good lucks, and all the professors speak before me. And when it gets down to 3 people, 2 people, oh no, I'm next. I get listen, this is the most relaxed atmosphere in kind of a little conference room. No pressure, no cameras, nothing. I still get that little anxiety or like, oh, I gotta say something. But you see,
you're not alone, Brian.
You see the students stand up, boom, and belt out a 2-minute speech in front of all their professors, and flawlessly. It's unreal, man. Totally.
But they start the class talent shows from grade 1. I mean, they got to perform in their class, either taekwondo or harmonica. Or...
But I did that all growing up. I did the karate shows. I was always in, doing, speaking publicly for school with We Hope. Dude, we give presentations to a couple hundred kids. It's it's nothing. But I still get that anxiety. But in the Koreans, they look cool as a cucumber.
Because they memorize everything.
But my anxiety used to be, it started like weeks before.
Oh my God.
Event, and then it went to days and hours, and now it's like, beginning of a new semester, and you got a lecture hall full of kids, and now it's maybe like 2 seconds, and then I'm okay. This is the same as every time.
I think it's normal.
It's kind of gone.
I think it's normal.
Yeah, and it does give you that. For me, I view it as a positive thing. Maybe my heart's pumping more. I'm getting more blood to my brain. I'll perform better. I don't know if that's bullshit.
I don't know. You guys are
Bro
teachers.
science.
Sometimes your best classes are your improv classes. Has that ever
Absolutely.
happened?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes your your best planned classes just flop, and you're like, "What the heck happened?" So you go with the flow. You see what's working, what's not, and a lot of times it depends on the students. I think you feel their
Brian's
energy.
students at Tune are experts on GSP.
Yeah,
They know everything about them.
I do. You know what though? I think if I'm interested in what I'm teaching, then the kids can feel the passion or take something from that.
Yeah.
So I do. I use fighting. I use all the things I like to teach whatever the concept is. Right. What did I use the GSP videos for? Oh, I think it was. Injuries? I don't know.
Oh, and they love hearing about you. They want to know where who you're married to,
Absolutely,
where you've
yeah.
been, what kind of car you drive, whatever.
I used
If you
to
have a car. They love hearing about you, and I don't really like talking about myself.
I used to divulge everything in the first class.
No,
but now
no.
you drop little seeds
Yes.
here and there. Hey, after midterms, you're like, oh, but I'm married. What? Yeah, I got 2 kids. What?
Exactly.
That's wild.
And Nate, you being to 80 countries, you probably have a lot you want to say to them, but you just keep it short and simple. And if it's a special class or special students, you open up a little bit.
Well, yesterday-
but, it's
I think when when the information is received
is real. I don't know.
like what's the word? Naturally or organically maybe.
Okay.
Well, when you get it organically, people are more connected. Whereas if you met them first time, they're like, "Hi, I'm Nate. I've been to 80 countries." They're like, "Oh, who's this dick?" But like you said, halfway through the semester, it's the same. I think when you're meeting people at a party, or if you introduce yourself, I'm Brian, I drive a Mercedes. I don't drive a Mercedes. I drive a Mercedes and I have 3 successful business. I don't have 3
Well, a
businesses
lot of people
either.
are like that though, Brian. It's a funny thing.
But I mean, if you had made a connection and you're sitting down and later in the night,
Just comes
it's like,
out.
It just comes out. Like you drop your keys, you're like, oh shit, look, I dropped my keys to my Benz. You got a Benz? Yeah.
Oh, and having a good sense of humor helps in the classroom. And I'm really sarcastic. I'm like, oh yeah, over there, Jose is always falling asleep because he's really falling asleep, and all the other students, oh yeah. So then they just like police each other. It's so
You
funny.
can't.
Yesterday, I was out at the college there, and half, probably 2/3 of my foreign class are Muslim students from Central Asia. And I just noticed when we were done that usually they get their stuff, race out of there, go to lunch, and that half of them didn't move. And then I just went, what's going on? Today's a little bit weird. Did I finish Ramadan?
Yeah.
And then I went, you guys are celebrating Ramadan, right? And they said, yes. So I went over and I was chatting with them for a bit. And one guy's from Burma or Myanmar. And so I've been to lots of these places, and I started pulling up some pictures, and I told them, you guys, we were talking about Ramadan and fasting and why some of the students had gone for lunch and some didn't, and who fasts, who doesn't. And a couple of the kids fast, but they don't pray. Some kids pray, they don't fast. And everyone has their own little different version of what they do. And I said, and we might think, oh, praying 5 times a day seems such an inconvenience. But Shin here, he wears a skirt in Myanmar. Every man wears like a skirt. And the one kid from Uzbekistan says, is it like the Scottish one? And I said, no, this is like a Cinderella one. And they started, and Shin goes, yeah, it's like a Cinderella one. And they were laughing, and said, can you bring it on Monday? Bring it.
You're connecting with them.
Wear it. And he's like, no, I'm never going to wear that thing here. You guys will never let me go. And so then I started pulling up some pictures, and then he eventually pulled his up and he said, look, here I am in my skirt or my dress. And they're like, oh my God.
That's beautiful.
And I said, all of our cultures have something that, is really cool and something that's maybe an inconvenience or not as cool. But that's what we get from traveling.
You're connecting with them.
We get to learn about each other's cultures and countries. And, he was sitting there with them not eating. And I said, Shin, are you,
come on now.
You're probably a Buddhist, right? From Myanmar. And I said, you're not fasting. How come you're not going for lunch? He goes, I'm on a diet. And I said, well, there you go. Shin's on a diet. They're fasting for Ramadan. Hey, he's still part of the same party. So,
well, sometimes as teachers we forget that every student is different. Maybe they might not eat. Maybe they might be getting hit at home. Maybe their brothers or sisters are picking on them. Yeah. Maybe they live with their grandmother.
Yeah.
We don't know especially in the public school system. We don't know these things, and sometimes we just take for granted or jump to conclusions. Oh, they're not studying. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they're working all night just to make ends meet. So I've learned that try not to be so judgmental and try to help them.
We even on the weekend there we had the festival.
So we hope. What a great festival!
It was cool, eh?
God,
the global festival.
I guess goose pimples just thinking about it. I love Tehuacán. I love the river and the people and just God, it's beautiful.
Some of the volunteers though. There was one kid. Right, two quick stories about volunteers.
Yeah.
The one kid, every time I walked into the tent, it was boom, head face down, or head on the table, playing his game playing his game on his lap, on his smartphone.
Yeah, that's normal.
Buddy, come on, sit up. You're here representing We Hope. You gotta put some effort in. 2 minutes later, same thing. And then he's sitting in the back of the tent by himself, and I thought, I hate to keep ragging on this kid, but I just tried to encourage him. Bud, you need some water? You want something to eat? You okay? But like you said, he could have got a beating last night from his dad, or grandma could have died yesterday. Who knows? Who knows? So you don't do too much. But even more shocking than that for me, who are the Yunus students that were there from? Were they Uzbek? Uzbekistan.
There was two Tajiki students.
And I asked them,
a couple Kazakh students.
We were laughing and joking, and I said, "Tell me some funny words in your language. Tell me a swear word." And the one kid would not tell me a swear word. He's like, "I'm sorry, I don't swear." I said, "Dude, you're not swearing. You're just teaching me how to do it." He goes, "Please, Brian, ask my friend. He can tell you."
Oh my God.
Dude, the nicest kid in the world. So good.
Hey, there is hope. There is hope.
Absolutely.
Well, listen,
the kindest kid.
The semester started 10 weeks ago, and the Muslim group had just come over. The Muslim students had just come over, fresh off the airplane, and they had gotten here. And of course, MT, this membership training stuff that they go with their groups and the students. For an overnight trip is very common here amongst all the university kids. And they had gone and they came back, and I was asking, what was the highlight of your membership training, this MT trip with your other fellow major students? And they said, I got drunk for the first time. And I was like, oh my God. And then the other ones, I was like, the Koreans are crazy drunks. And they hadn't seen that much alcohol probably in most of their lives. And
cases
of
soju.
Five or 10 of them said, no, it's crazy. I don't want to go again. They were all drinking. It's crazy. And 4 or 5 of the kids had the best time in their life saying, I got to drink and I drank so much. I was so drunken. It was so fun and I was so free. And I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't even think, usually they're team building and they bring all the students together and they do events and games and stuff.
That is team building, getting drunk with your classmates.
But with such a divided, group, and how to entice or convince them that it's okay or not okay. It's okay if you don't want to, that's fine.
That's okay.
But this is the cool group and we're getting goon on soju. You want to join or you want to be in the Wangta group over there? So anyways, that was one funny one that I had this semester. But I was going to say, back to what you said about understanding, I think that's where a lot of my growth has come from since I've been here in the last 5 whatever years. Just patience, understanding, and always thinking, I don't know why this person's like this. There might be a reason. I should be gentle and just try and guide them or push them along gently and encourage them, because you don't know. And they might just be straight up lazy or have a shitty attitude. But there's also chances that you have no idea what's going on. And I've really learned to be a lot more patient with them and just try and guide them or show them the way a little bit instead of pushing like maybe I used to earlier in my career.
That's experience. That's experience talking.
My steps were, first one was always like, this kid is lazy.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? What a lazy student. What's wrong with this kid? I would blame the student. And then next step of experience was blaming myself. Like, oh man, maybe my class isn't exciting enough. And now it's just it could be both. But when we talked to Rogelio Garcia, our first guy on the podcast, something that he brought up that's so true is that reflecting back on your self-reflection
always
on your thing. If you're not doing that, man, you're just spinning your tires. You're gonna keep making the same mistakes, running into the same things. So important.
I mean, growing up at home and stuff, I think I had zero patience for anything that I didn't think was the right way or whatever. But so different now, having kids and a family and in-laws.
Well, there you go,
and
being a father.
Students from all over. It doesn't make sense to get angry and frustrated for all these things.
Well, it's easy.
Just take a step back, breathe, maybe look at what might be causing these reactions or these actions.
Sometimes as a father, I don't forget teaching. As a father, we think our 3-year-old kid or 2-year-old kid is thinks like an adult. They don't have an idea. So I was doing the wrong things with my daughter, and we were noticing.
I think sometimes my daughters are adults. I don't. They got some pretty good tricks.
And then I just realized, I'm like, okay, just let her go. Let her go. Let you know, and try to do positive reinforcement, have more patience, talk to them. And it worked. We've seen a difference with her speaking. We've seen a difference with her being, lovely and kind, and her personality coming out. And it's okay if they write on the walls or jump on the bed.
Not my goddamn house.
Exactly. And that's what my first reaction. I have a new apartment. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh, she's just a kid.
Drag the bike down the side of your new car. My kid hasn't done that, but I just there's a lot of things you become more accepting.
Yeah,
of.
so
it's interesting, and even having a second kid, the differences in personality. I mean, I'm as far as I'm concerned, I've raised them exactly the same. Maybe the my first was a little more. We coddled them a little more than the second, but dude, totally different personalities. It's so weird to see even at such a young age how they start to how their paths are already on they're already on a different trajectory. It's pretty.
I learned one thing though. Cool. Whatever you say to your kid, you have to tell. If you promise them something, you have to come through with the promise. Oh, yeah. If you say you're gonna get an ice cream if you do your homework, whatever, you best get an ice cream. Whatever you say, you have, because they remember. Oh, yeah. And that's what builds that bond, and that's what's going to take you through the hard times in life.
And my son knows he'll get his dinner after the dishes, laundry, and washing the car is finished. I'm joking. No, they actually I saw a list before of house chores that kids should be doing and at what age. I gotta dig that thing up.
Chores are good. Discipline is good.
Absolutely.
How to learn to say no.
The chart on the fridge, man.
Yeah.
Did you do this? Did you do that? How many points do you have on your chart today? Did you do all your duties today? Sure, they need responsibilities, man.
Kids don't know if they have. I think if they don't have those boundaries to play within, then it's probably confusing as hell.
We think by giving them toys or having fun or going to Disney or all that's good. No, it's giving them rules and learning how to say no.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But they're gonna have their tantrums, but that's how they learn.
Yeah.
Okay. On a different note, we don't have a lot of time left, so I just want to touch a few other ones. What did you miss, or coming back now and being back here? What did you miss the most about Korea?
I'm thinking. Well, the food is awesome. At first I hated the food. That's the irony.
But even coming back, is the first one, is that, oh, that's the taste I missed? Or was that, this is a little stronger, more potent than I thought it was?
Even the kimchi. Is like, man, this is good kimchi.
Than I remember. It's a little
got a little more microdust. No, just how modern Korea is, and just the food, and just the transportation. The public transportation is really good. I went on that KTX train. God, so fast, and just. And the taxi guys are still the same taxi guys. You got to be careful.
Just trying to guess your nationality.
Oh God! So some things are always the same. So
would 3, 4, 5 years later, would you come back again on a few day stint again just for a vacation?
I think the next time I'm going to come back with my family.
Yeah,
nice.
And it's not going to be 3, 4, 5 years. I think we'll just make it a plan, and we'll come and show them this is where Dad. Before he met Mom, this is where, he hung out.
Finish that sentence.
I'm not going to add anything.
That's
because Korea is so exotic. I mean, everybody goes to Japan and Thailand and China, but Korea is like, who goes to Korea? Yeah. But Korea's got so much to offer.
Sure, I agree. And that's it. It's often jumped over because, it's not Tokyo or Beijing easy to fly into. Lots of times you have to get rerouted through Japan or China, so the people just skip it. But yeah, it is pretty cool, and it does have a lot to offer.
And has a lot of history and culture too.
Yeah. One thing, Cool.
I was going to turn then back to Colombia.
Yes.
You got married there, and you've been there 6, 7 years, 8 years. You said, what are some of the traditions and culture there that you find appealing and different than in America, or maybe stuff that surprised you compared to what you were brought up thinking, living in America as, a Colombian American?
Well, what's so awesome in Colombia, we got holidays, like 2 or 3 holidays every month. So you got 3-day weekends like twice a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah, every like.
What am I doing here?
And it's like
They
because
schedule those holidays well if they're always on Friday or Monday.
Yeah,
in
because
Korea they're on Wednesday every time.
because they're religious. They're so religious. So and then Christmas is just like for 1 month, everybody just takes off. Easter is really religious.
Yeah.
Easter in the United States, we barely even celebrate Easter. Maybe on Easter
because-
Sunday. I don't understand.
That's because you have a 6-month hangover from Thanksgiving. Nobody does Thanksgiving like the States does. But Semana Santa in Philippines, wow, it's huge. The whole country shuts down. I never realized how. I thought we were from Catholic or Christian areas, but
No,
man, some of these places, South America and even like the Philippines. Oh my gosh! During Easter, that's holiday central.
So a lot of holidays, very hardworking, and they all work on Saturdays. I thought here in Korea was kind of funny how everybody goes to school on Saturdays. Do the kids still go to school on Saturdays?
No, that's been gone for years. now.
Yeah. That's
Okay, I remember that. I was like, really? On Saturdays? They wanted me to teach on Saturdays. I'm like, no, my contract's Monday through Friday. Yeah, but Saturdays we have class. I go, well, it's not in my contract, so I don't,
That's our wives growing up went to school on. They
My
went to
wife,
school
my
every
wife taught
Saturday.
on Saturdays. She used to teach every Saturday before we were married, but then it went to 3 Saturdays a month, 2 Saturdays a month. Then they scrapped it.
Well, the kids here in Korea, they go to school all day long. Then they go to the Hagwons for math or science or English. And then they come to school on Saturdays. It's like pork. They get home at 10 o'clock at night. And these are little 10-year-old kids, and it's like,
that
what are you
hasn't changed
doing?
too much.
And then they come home and play video games all night long. And you're like, they don't sleep. They don't eat.
There's two
It's the
kids.
craziest thing in the world.
2 kids that live in this complex that go to the gym in the morning. I kind of show them around what to do. But the other day I saw the kid on the leg press and just like half asleep. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you coming here for? He's like, I got home at like 12:30. Like, it's 6:30 in the morning. What are you doing here? Go to bed. Oh no, I wanted to get my workout in. I'm like, you're gonna die you're gonna have a heart attack when you're 20, dude. Relax. Go home, take a nap. What are you doing?
They need to play a little bit more. And I'm glad to hear that they're not on Saturday.
Yeah.
Are you close with your wife's family, or do you get any? I'm sure your parents gave you some Colombian experiences growing up, but do you get any really cool Colombian culture being
They're from the same hometown, yeah?
Pretty much.
being married to a Colombian? I think we get a lot of insight into. There's a whole
culture.
different experience after
Yes.
marrying a Korean. I'm still learning. It was different after you had kids. Life became very different. Dealing with in-laws and culture and the ceremonies and all that stuff. Getting married was a different experience.
Chuseok.
So sure, and it's still evolving, still changing. So, what about there and being married to a Colombian?
Well, it's very family oriented, and you go to the now. See, in Korea, you go to the husband's family,
Oldest brother in
Yeah.
the family.
but in Colombia, you go to the woman's family. You tend to go to the woman's family.
Oh, cool.
So, well, not so cool. So it's very oriented that way, and it's just different because just the values, and it's hard. I try to tell my wife that, we're a family now, so we got to do things on our own. In New Year's, for example, New Year's is a day where you spend with your mom and your dad, and you go to church, whatever. I told my wife, I go, New Year's is where, as a couple, you go out and you leave your kid babysitting, or, it's not about family or church and to be thankful. It's about drinking, dancing, and having a good time. So I'm American, so I told my wife, Christmas, we'll do your thing, but New Year's is our thing, okay? So it's a give and take in a relationship.
Yeah.
And here in Korea, what do they watch the sunrise?
Yeah,
If
New,
you want to,
New Year's Day, 4 a.m. traffic jams.
Freezing your butt off with the whole. I'm like, so.
Oh, it's cloudy. Back it up, guys.
We quit that tradition after the first year.
My God.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's a give and take. It's a give and take. But
Do you feel close with their family? Do you feel accepted and?
Oh yeah, totally. But I sometimes, because I'm Colombian American, sometimes I think they forget that I'm American.
Right.
Okay.
And because I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Here you can't forget.
Yeah.
But over there, Mauricio Gutierrez, I'm brown skin. They think I'm Colombian, but I try to tell them, I might be able to speak Spanish, but my brain is American. So, sometimes we're a little bit rude. Sometimes we say it as it is, kind of like Korean style, you kind of say face, but Americans, we're really direct,
and then
that kind of makes
comes
some
off.
issues.
Yeah.
It comes
That
off.
brings me back to when you said you're American, but you're not really American. And in Colombia, you're trying to say, hey, I'm American. But in America, you go, I'm not Colombian, I'm American. And they don't think you're American.
Somewhere in the middle.
Right? It's really, it's that confusing.
It's so confusing.
When the Gyopos come back to Korea, and Korea they either think they're Korean and they want them to be Korean, but they can't speak Korean. So they're kind of rejected. They're kind of rejected at home because they're not really American. They're Korean American. And I just feel bad that kind of lost in between floating.
Well, what's going to happen with your kids? Are your kids Korean or are they Canadian? Both of you guys.
Well, we talked about it last time. That I try and get them to embrace their uniqueness, that they're different and that they have, they have something
The best of
different.
both worlds?
And
Hybrids.
they're hybrids, yeah. That's what they are. And I think, all the people we know with older kids, they have gotten picked on and bullied at school for being hybrids. But we said, that doesn't mean going home you're not going to get picked on. I think they get picked on at home too. And if it wasn't for being a hybrid back home, it might be because they had glasses or braces or too fat or, there's a million ways, right? You can get bullied. So,
and again, it comes down to, I think, when it's, when we're walking and someone says, oh, it's a foreigner, how our reaction now is going to influence how our kids react. If someone says, "Oh, look at the bald guy," and I turn around and flip him the bird and push him down. That's my kid's gonna see that and assume that's how he should react as well, with hostility. And I don't think that's
try and teach him acceptance and understanding, and you're gonna see different kinds of Koreans. And my daughters have traveled lots. His kids have traveled, and when we go back to Canada, we see all kinds of different people. And that we're all just people.
Exactly.
But being in Korea, which is such a monoculture,
very conservative,
and a monoculture, you stand out a lot more.
Colombia too.
But when we're here, all of my wife's family says the girls look exactly like me. But what happens when we go to Canada?
They look like her.
They say all my family says they look exactly like my wife, because they don't look like me. They look part Asian, which is my wife, and here they don't look full Korean, so they look like me. So already, right, like. My whole family's, oh, you look just like your mom, just like your... And here they say, you look just like your dad, just like your dad. Nobody says kind of in the middle, or you got part of each. Or
That's really interesting, Nate. Part of me living in Colombia is because I want my daughter to understand the Colombian culture. The holidays, the Semana Santa, the Navidad, Christmas, all that stuff. The Amaria Pues, the sayings, the food. I want her to know that and her to be proud.
Yeah.
Where she comes from, because I denied where I came from.
Yeah.
And then it took me a while to find myself, and through traveling and to coming back to where my parents came from, my roots, I learned a lot about myself, and I want to give that to my daughter. Yeah. And at the same token, I want her to be able to be a worldly person and, speak 2 or 3 languages and have, because that's where we're headed to in the future.
That's globalization. Yeah. Not the future. That's now, man. That's now. Every country's, that's why I can't believe America doesn't make Spanish their official second language. We used to, laugh and joke about the Africans when we were younger. But when I went there, I got a rude awakening. I was on the border of the Ivory Coast and Ghana. Uh-huh. And those kids spoke 3 or 4 languages each. Maybe they didn't have pencils every day, but they could speak 3 or 4 languages, no problem. And I thought, that's embarrassing that half of our country can't even speak French, or more than half doesn't speak French.
Sorry, guys.
I was lucky to grow up English and French. But man, we're looking and we think we're so much better than some of these poor countries. But are you kidding me? Those guys 3, 4 languages.
There's Jacques Chirac there or that's not his name, but we called him Jacques Chirac.
Oh yeah,
dude, he spoke 5 languages.
All the kids at UNIST, the kids here at the college, they speak Russian, Uzbek or Tajik or Kyrgyz, English. Now they're learning Korean.
Yeah,
And
he learned Korean and Spanish while he was here, and just we served at our buddy's bar there. We were working on one weekend, and there happened to be a Spanish girl and a Russian guy, and he was talking to me in English to the Koreans and bum, 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 and I was just going, "What are you doing?"
But
Unreal,
outside of
and very naturally, too,
Africa has a very high level of English compared to Korea and Colombia.
a lot, but that's why I envied the Europeans lots, because they were always so close proximity to so many languages. If you were in France, you could easily learn Italian, German, Spanish if you chose to.
But I know
But in Canada, I mean, it's English, French. But if you wanted more than that, you have to actually go out and seek it. But I mean, in Europe, it'd be so cool to be around so many of those languages, and they're all a little bit similar, but all just different enough that if you could know the difference between Portuguese and Spanish and Italian and sound good, it'd be a big leg up.
You go to Miami and they speak Spanish more than English. And Portuguese and French. You're like, whoa. You know, I joked around. I asked this one lady, I go, do you speak English? Because everywhere I go is, 10 dólares, blah, blah, blah. They're speaking in Spanish. And I'm like, I want you to speak to me in English. Yeah. So I was just sarcastic. I go, do you speak English?
Well, when we
it was
were
a black lady and she started laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Because
when we were in San Diego, there wasn't much English going on.
Yeah.
And, in Singapore.
It's crazy.
In Singapore. The
All
Indians,
English.
The Chinese, the Malays, and everyone speaks an English with a different kind of accent or kind of dialect, but they all understand each other.
That's the official language, right? In Singapore?
I can barely understand you guys, but, there's 3 Indian kids, 2 Chinese kids, 3 Malaysian kids, and they're all speaking English to each other, and I was just like, wow, you guys are incredible. And they all speak their mother tongue in another one, but it was just amazing that they all understood each other no problem and speak as fast as we do with their kind of dialect or their accents, and they all understand each other no problem. But it was so hard for me to follow. I was surprised.
Do you speak to your daughter in English?
Only in our house is only English. So wife and me only English to them. And then when they're at school or with grandma, grandpa.
And how about you?
Everything's in Korean.
I speak only English at home, I speak only English to them, and the majority of the time, my wife speaks probably half English, half Korean at home. But their life outside of the house is 99% Korean. I said before, I think I was telling you on the weekend, that if we're at the park or something, I don't need to attract attention to myself speaking English to my daughter when everyone's going to stop and freeze and look at the big Waeguk or whatever. So I'll just maybe directions or instructions in Korean just so we fit in and we don't attract any extra attention. But other than that, it's always English.
My wife just Spanish and I English, but then now I've been speaking a little more Spanish because my daughter isn't her Spanish isn't developing as quickly as the other students. But from my understanding, that's just because she's just trying to sort it out.
Yeah, and don't worry about that. They'll all be. Even I was telling one of my students today, who's 20. How old are the kids? 20 years old? 19, 20, 21. And she was saying like, "Oh, teacher, how do I get my English better? Blah blah blah. Oh, is it too late?" I said, "Man, you're 20." Even when my wife went to Canada, I think she was 20. She said she had studied English her whole life, could only speak yes or no. Coming off the airplane, like yes, no, I can understand what you're saying a little bit. Only reply was kind of yes, no, yes, no. And I mean, she's a completely fluent speaker now.
Awesome.
So, but it also they go in leaps and bounds. I mean, I remember bringing Gina to Florida. And she just spoke one word. She understood everything, but she just didn't speak fluent sentences, parts, expressions. But after I went to Florida for 2 or 3 weeks to mom and dad's, and she came back and she was like, all of a sudden she was fluent. And Lena's kind of like that now. Lena speaks words, expressions, some fragments. But we're going this summer, and I assume the same thing's going to happen. She's going to get 3 weeks of intensive English, and she's just going to go boom. And all of a sudden she'll be full English.
Yeah.
Well, guys, please visit me in Orlando, Florida. I should be there in about 2 years, I believe.
Well, I was going to say, what do you have waiting for us in store in Colombia before we wrap up here? Tell me what I can look forward to if I make it down to Colombia.
The most beautiful landscapes and scenery in the world. You got beaches, you got mountains, you got nature, which in Korea, it's mostly... sometimes you don't see so many animals and so much stuff like that.
Come on, they have chipmunks and squirrels.
I saw a deer. About 200 meters away from me.
But in Colombia, you see iguanas, you see monkeys, you see alligators. I mean, I've been to the Amazons. I've been to the beaches. Watch the Will Smith video on YouTube. He went to Cartagena and he goes, the thing I like best about Cartagena is the people. Just like in Korea, just like in Canada.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Canada yet. My wife's lives in Montreal and she speaks. My wife's sister lives in.
How many wives do you have?
My other wife. And she says that Montreal is just an amazing place.
I'm going there in the summer.
Love Montreal.
The architecture.
I'll be there in a month.
Beautiful
Yeah.
city.
So it's French, Spanish, and English.
Yeah. Oh, that's one place.
Quebecois.
One place in Canada. I mean, growing up, there was the kind of anti-French sentiment. When I started learning French, that was when the separatists. We had the referendum in Canada.
Yeah.
Whether to Quebec stays as a province or we separate. But growing up, we always had this. Quebec, those Frenchies, whatever. Dude, I swear to God, I went there. That I really felt for the first time in Canada, culture, like a deep culture. Maybe it's because I was on vacation with friends, but
I agree. The first time I can remember going,
it's a completely different feeling. And then, I mean, from Montreal, we met up with the guys we met in Thailand. There, we went down to Quebec City. Unbelievable. It's a different country. It's a completely different country.
I can't wait to go.
It's really cool, man. Really cool.
I heard Toronto's one of the coolest cities in the world. And Vancouver is a beautiful city.
everywhere has their own little identity, right?
Banff,
they're all cool for a few days for sure. I don't know if I could live in a lot of them, but I mean, maybe last one. I was telling you the other day, but when we went to LA and we stayed in Hollywood, and the first night we woke up in the morning and
there's a murder.
You know, my wife was getting drilled by the police. What happened? Where's getting all her information? I said, "What do you mean you were talking to the police?" Anyways, she said I was talking to the police. I stepped out of our room and there was a dead body outside. And I thought, we paid $300 to avoid the riffraff. How did we get stuck in the middle of this?
Not in Hollywood.
That's what you were telling us.
Not in Hollywood. I never even went down to Hollywood in LA.
Really?
No.
There's some cool parts of LA. We really enjoyed our 2 days there, but yeah, I don't need to live in any of those big cities. I prefer the smaller places, but they all have their cool characteristics. And
next time we meet, I want to hear more about the firsthand riot experience.
There's a lot of crime going on in LA. There's a lot of stuff going on. You know, you just know where to go and where to be and what to do.
Yeah.
You know.
No doubt. But anyways, listen, dude, we're winding down on time here. Nate told me you were coming. It was probably a month ago that you booked your ticket. We've been really excited. So glad you got out on the weekend on Saturday. You guys had a good night out on Saturday night, and very happy to have you in here. And I'm sure everyone listening, if there's anyone listening, is there anyone listening? I'm sure they really enjoyed your perspective and your good words about Korea and everything you had to say there. So anyways, dude, thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you.
We hope to see you again or meet up. Who knows where? But
hopefully soon.
Yeah. All right,
do it again. Take care.
Have a good one. Later, guys. Thanks for listening.